Well, why should we study theology in the first place? And let me give you 5 reasons why we should study theology in our time as Muslims. The first one is that there is a trend of disbelief in just about every society, including Muslim societies. Like for instance, in Australia, in 2011 census, the number of people who said that they have no religion was 22%. And that is expected to surpass 25%. In addition, there's about 10% of people who say that they leave that option blank. On top of that, when it comes to practicing religion, the numbers go even lower. When we go to societies, Muslim societies that we may think they're very religious, such as Saudi Arabia, for example, there's more than 20% have serious lack of faith. So lack of faith, that is disbelief in God, or doubts about matters of faith, such as afterlife, or related to Quran or Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, mark a very important part of every individual in our time. So this is number one. Number two, the source of disbelief in our time, unlike in previous centuries, is knowledge, or scientific knowledge more precisely. That is, dramatic increase in scientific knowledge and the confidence that comes with that to explain life and existence have surpassed the religion's claim to explain life and existence. And people have no need for religion, or most people, that is. So this is an important matter that needs to be addressed from a theological perspective. In the past, though, let's say 200-300 years ago or earlier, usually disbelief came from ignorance, not from knowledge or science. So we're living in a dramatically different context, intellectual and educational context in our time. And number three, the root cause of much of the problems that we see in the Muslim world, in my view, goes back to the lack of faith or doubts about faith. Even though Muslim societies fare far better than more developed societies in terms of rates of disbelief or agnosticism or atheism, still a large chunk of every Muslim society, there are irreligious people. You know, people who may call themselves Muslim, but they say I am secularist. So they have issues about religion. They may have theological issues primarily. When you really dig down into these people, what they think about certain issues, it's very clouded, their thinking. But the majority Muslims, that is, they are more conservative. Their beliefs are not well developed, or it's not a belief that is based on investigative faith. It's more blind faith or cultural faith. So these two segments in Muslim societies, the secularists or the conservative traditional Muslims, they have a different vision for society. And this is the cause of much of the problems that we see in the Muslim world in the modern times. Number 4 reason why we need to study theology is that Quran is, in my view, largely a book of theology. I will explain that in a separate video. So if we want to study Islam or the Quran, we have to get into matters of theology. Otherwise, if we run the risk of passing over very briefly a large chunk of Quran, which is the foundation of the religion. And this also explains the final reason why we should study Islamic theology, is that there are new questions that are posed to Muslims and Islam in contemporary times, even not contemporary, since 18th century Enlightenment. There has been serious questions posed to religion, such as suffering, existence of God, existence of afterlife, and many aspects that I will cover in this series of theological lectures. They beg new questions. Quantum physics, for example, evolution theory, we cannot just pass this in a very simple way. They have a major impact on the way we human beings need to understand reality. So we need to study theology for all these reasons so that we can develop a contemporary Islamic worldview that addresses the needs of Muslims and gives them the tools, intellectual tools, to address the theological, social, and even political issues that are plaguing the Muslim world. So in order to develop a whole new Islamic civilization that is at peace with the world and actually contributes to the world, it must begin with a theological investigation and understanding. And that's why we need to study Islamic theology now.